what is the best way to improve your chances of success both in gaming and in life, this is going to contradict what has been said in the past, but the truth of the matter is that the way to do that is to focus on your strengths, not your weaknesses. What's up, dreamers? Welcome to Driving and Vibing. Today I want to talk about focusing on your strengths. This is very important. When you go through a task or when you go through something, let's say you have a job, okay, and you have strengths and weaknesses at the job, the best thing that you can do, so a lot of times people say, hey, you have these strengths, these are some of your weaknesses, let's work on your weaknesses, and then we'll get those up to par, and then you'll become better at the job. Well, this is true to an extent, but the weaknesses are significantly harder. They're a weakness for a reason, okay? And they're significantly harder to improve upon than working on your strengths that you already have strengths in, okay? But working on your strengths, because they're your strengths, makes it easier to strengthen those strengths, if that makes sense. This is being studied as well, which is why I think it's important to talk about. If you focus on your strengths, I don't have an exact example because as I've been thinking through it, for some reason I can't think of one. But let's say you have strengths in something, and this is why this would work. If you have strengths in something and you enjoy doing that because it's your strength, and while you're working on this strength and you're improving that, some of the weaknesses kind of start falling in place and they start to improve as well, then you are less likely to get burnt out and you're going to follow through, and you're probably not going to quit because now you're working on strengths, something you're already good at, something that is going to continue to build confidence, right? And keep your motivation high. Now, flip that. If you work on your weaknesses and you're not focusing on your strengths, focusing on a weakness, something that you're not as strong at, if you do that and you focus on the weakness and that's all you focus on and you let your strengths go for a little bit, that's going to drive frustration, right? Because you're working on building it, making it better. And as you learn new things, if you remember, especially like children, when they learn new things, this happens to everybody, by the way, when they learn new things, they get frustrated when they can't do it because they want to do it. They in their head know how to do it, but it's one of their weaknesses. I'm going to give an example. Infants learning how to walk. They get very frustrated when they can't walk, right? So if you're doing something that you're working on and you kind of know how to do it, but it's one of your weaknesses and you want to push through to do it, but it's taking a lot longer for you to kind of learn this thing and make it a strength, we'll say, you're going to get frustrated. Now this is going to improve your chances, which is not good, of burnout. Improve your chances of burnout and quote unquote failure, okay? And it's just going to be a recipe for disaster. Now this is being studied a lot now because of the fact that working on your strengths and having your weaknesses kind of fall into place and having them on the back burner, we'll say, but still be worked on, it's more efficient than simply working on just your sorry, my GPS is going crazy, just your weaknesses. So one of the best things that you can do is focus on your strengths, and then focus on your strengths primarily, and then work on your weaknesses like at the same time as like a secondary, okay, if that makes sense. Now, I didn't give direct examples. If anybody has a direct example, please let us know in the comments. I would love to see some examples. I'd love to hear some times where you put your strengths into action and have, seen some success through it. I'd also like to hear about how people work on some of their weaknesses. Do you focus on your strengths and kind of let the weaknesses tag along to be able to build into strengths? Or do you completely ignore them? Or do you simply solely work on weaknesses? Let me know in the comments. I would love to get this conversation started. And yeah, hit that like button, helps out the channel. Hit that subscribe button for more content like this. And I hope to see you in my next video. Later, dreamers.